Hey everybody, Grandmaster Ben Finegold here for Kid Chess. And today we're going to look at a, relatively more modern position. This is starting at move 12. The game didn't go much longer. This is four-time U.S. champion Yasser Seirawan with white versus the former Russian champion Alexander Belyavsky. Both players were candidates for the World Championship, and this game was played a little over 30 years ago. And in fact, I remember it because I was so shocked at what happened here. And one thing that you have to realize that a lot of grandmasters actually don't is checkmate ends the game. So, back in the 1800s, everybody was playing for checkmate. Then if you checkmated your opponent, you won. And then as people got better at chess, their opponents didn't let them checkmate them. So they started doing other things like I'll capture a pawn for free, I'll take your knight, I'll get a passed pawn. They do some other stuff and eventually you win. And what happens is when you start thinking like that, sometimes you forget about checkmate. You forget about the ultimate goal of the game because you're so interested in doing other things that eventually will lead to checkmate. And now Belyavsky did something that you kids will like. We used to call it caveman chess. And that's where you just attack your opponent, mercilessly and try to checkmate them. And usually at the super grandmaster level, that doesn't work because, the opponent is so strong. So when it does work, it's fascinating. Now in this position, if I was black, I'd probably just castle. And the computer says if black castles, the position's about equal. Nobody's ahead anything. And Belyavsky said, well, I didn't castle yet, but my opponent did, so let's go checkmate him. And he played the super aggressive G5. I normally wouldn't recommend that to my students, but it's sort of like in basketball. Don't shoot the three. Oh, it went in? Okay, good. So the chess computer actually likes that move. Okay, and Yasser doesn't want to lose his bishop. He can't take the pawn. It's defended too much. It's defended by all these guys. So if you take that pawn, you're going to lose a piece. So he retreated his bishop and more caveman chess, h5. And normally you don't beat grandmasters by just pushing your pawns at their king and they can't defend. But I said normally. Okay, and here the engine already doesn't like white's position. It thinks not only is black attacking the white king, but this bishop can get trapped. Like h4 attacking the bishop, bishop goes here, f6, bishop's trapped. Okay, well, Yasser didn't want to lose his bishop, so he played h3, so his bishop would have an escape square. And Belyavsky said, I'm going to checkmate you, played g4. Now, this is also a fork. I'm attacking your knight and your pawn. So, well, you can't give your knight away, then you're down a knight. If you move your knight, then I'll get a pawn for free. Now, the engine actually does move the knight away and gives a pawn for free because it doesn't want to get checkmated. And the player with the white pieces, Yasser Seirawan, he didn't want to lose a pawn, so he took the pawn first, and then he moved his knight away, but that opens this line for the rook. That's pretty dangerous. So you can imagine if a black queen was on h1, that would be checkmate. So it's very dangerous to let your opponent open the h-file near your castled king. Not safe. Okay, this pawn is attacked, as you can see. So he traded the knights. Now his rook is attacked, so he played f6. And now this was really cool what happened. Black wants to get his queen in the vicinity of the white king, but his pieces are blocking his queen. His queen can't get over there. So this is a really cool attacking move because you don't associate these kind of moves typically with an attack. And again, this is just getting a piece out of the way so that you can get your other pieces, through it. And he played the move king f7. This is the best move. Again, you don't normally associate that with attacking. He's just opening up this rank for his queen and rook. You can imagine what's going to happen to white's king if black gets these major pieces over here on the h-file. So now the queen can come in, the other rook can come later. King was blocking his queen and rook. Now, if black castled, which he could do, then his rook wouldn't be on the H file. He doesn't want his rook on F8, which would happen after he castles. He wants it on H8. Okay, so Yasser knows what's coming. Black's gonna, get checkmate here. So he has to run for the hills. So he plays rook E1, and he's gonna escape this way, he hopes. Rook H5, the queen's gonna go to H8, and then rook H1 mate. That's the plan. Queen to D2, and Black realizes this is giving the D1 square for the king. The king is going to run over here. He's going to pretend like he castled queenside. Okay? But yeah, Black has this bishop here. So Black plays the move bishop E4. And you may be wondering, why did he go bishop E4? How does that stop the king from running away? And the answer is actually pretty funny. After king F1, it's the first sacrifice of the game. Before this, Black didn't give up anything. Black is just attacking the white king. Materials equal. Everybody's happy. But now, Black sacrifices to stop the king from running away. When I teach my students, I tell them there's two elements to checkmate. There's the checking part, which most kids get. Then there's the no way out of check part, which is hard for some people. If you check somebody and there's no way out, that's checkmate. So there's two things you want to do when you checkmate somebody. You want to check them, and you want to make sure there's no way out. So sometimes you stop them from escaping, and then you check them. So here, for example, we could play rook H1 check, and then white would escape. And you're like, dang, I wish white couldn't escape, then I would win. Well, Black has a move here, it's a sacrifice, that stops white from escaping. What move can Black make so white can't go here? Once you stop the escape, now you can play rook H1 checkmate. And he played the winning move, bishop F3. Now, if it was Black's turn to move, Black would play checkmate because we stopped the white king from escaping. The most obvious move for white is to take the bishop. We replace the bishop with a pawn. That pawn does a good job of stopping the king. We're threatening checkmate again. The only normal move to stop checkmate is king to G1. That defends this square. And now there's many ways to win. The easiest is queen H8 with unstoppable checkmate. But if you want to be like a cool kid and be really interesting, this is also checkmate. It's riskier because maybe you didn't calculate right, but you sacrificed a rook, so it's pretty cool. Takes, queen H8 check, and then if king G1, we go here with unstoppable mate. And if bishop H2, we can play bishop D6. Uh-oh. And again, these pieces just have nothing to do with defending the white king. Now that was unnecessary. It was winning, but an easier way is just queen H8, and then we just mate on H1. So after bishop F3, in this position, Black threatening mate, white realized there was no way out. There was no way to escape, so he gave up. But you can see most of white's pieces are not defending his king. Why is his knight on the side over here? So Black played the caveman brute force method, moving his pawns up, moving his bishop up, moving his rook up, and white's king had no protection. There was no way out. And so we saw sort of an equal boring position, and Black said, I don't want equal and boring, I want checkmate. And he was successful. And usually when you're playing a strong grandmaster, it's not easy to checkmate them. That's why it was so shocking. I mean, white was a 4-time US champion, and out of like nowhere, all of a sudden he's checkmated. And see, that's the beauty of chess. If you play somebody and they make a mistake and you win a pawn or you win a knight, well, you still might lose. It's possible. But if you try to checkmate them and you're successful, it doesn't matter how good they are, checkmate ends the game. And Black went for the checkmate and he was successful. So now you guys get to see the game too. This is Grandmaster Ben Finegold for Kid Chess. Until next time, bye guys.